Hello, hello. Hello, Simon. How you doing?
Hey, Rosie. How you doing?
I'm good. Welcome to This Week in Testing.
Rosie, you've done it again. It's
This week in quality. This week in community. Oh my God. Did I say quality?
You said testing. In fact, you said this week in test, which is like a really old name. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I'm sorry. As I get older, my brain just struggles to compute.
So for the backstory for that is for folks who aren't familiar, we have officially started This Week in Community last week. So thank you everyone who's joined us for episode number 2. Welcome. We also have that we still run now in our community, the Motiverse, for testing and quality professionals and tech people. This Week in Quality. And before that, it was This Week in Testing, and I think This Week in Test, and it's had all sorts of names. So that's why it's on our brain, and that's why we often refer to this. We're still working it out. And as Andy Claremont shares in the chat, This Week in Community Testing, you got it. This is live community testing right now.
I think next week you have to do the intro.
Okay, cool.
I just keep messing it up. Eventually, we'll get it right. But yeah, hello and welcome. We're a bit flustered today. We're a bit like typical community, maybe just kind of dashing about, finishing up things. I've had my head in a few calls today, and then spreadsheets, and Simon was quickly uploading something just before we came on, so we're a bit like, oh, it's been a day. But I think that also kind of reflects what community is like as well.
Oh, it really does. Yeah, it was like, just we've got an initiative called Call for Insights, where we pair up with a community member and we kind of agree on a topic beforehand, but we try to aim for 30 minutes to have a conversation about a topic that they are interested in and can talk about. It's a great way to have a conversation, ask lots of questions. That person just articulates their thoughts and ideas. It's a great way for them to participate. So I've just got off one of those calls, and I was like, I said at the start, I've got to wrap up at this time, which would have given us 15 minutes to get to this session right now. And it just ran over slightly, always the way. And then the upload was happening. And it's like, oh, is the upload going to interrupt us going live with this? So that's the pace. It's nonstop. But yeah, we're great. Oh, go for it, Rosie. Yeah.
No, I'm just happy that it's working.
Yeah. And we've got some people joining us in the chat, as mentioned. Andy Claremont, welcome. Good to see you, Nicola, Earle. Oh, wonderful. So yes, if you are listening in and you're listening in live, please do say hello in the chat. You can use the chat to kind of share what you've been up to this week, share any thoughts, ideas. There isn't the facility to share links yet, but that's kind of maybe a good safety thing. But also just share what you've been up to, right? And if you want to, come and join us on stage. This is an open conversation. You know, Rosie and I will talk about what's been going on, things we've observed. And it's just an open space for us to chat and see what's possible. So no real agenda other than getting together, having a conversation. So, you know, think about your week in community. What's it been like? What have you been up to? What are some of the challenges you're facing? What questions have bubbled up? What's left unanswered? What's hot topics? What's scaring you? All of that stuff, right? Just go for it and see what's possible.
So yeah, I'm hoping that for those that do want to come on stage, you don't have to do it straight away, but I'm hoping you can see the link and to join if you can't. Join the live conversation. Yep, that's the button. Feel free to join. But Nicola's gonna risk it.
Yeah,
she's gonna be the brave one, and she says she's gonna press it. So hopefully that will work. Fingers crossed. But as she's coming on stage, Simon, is there anything about your week in testing that has stood out?
My week in testing and my week in quality.
Oh, my, sorry.
Don't worry, mate. It's all
sorry.
good. It's all good. I love it. I love it. Testing on the mind. It's something. It's it's inbuilt in all of us, right? It's all good. Well, there's been a couple of things actually, and it was something you sent my way. Was a YouTube clip between a conversation between Nate Hagens and Nora Bateson. And it was, everyone wants a village, nobody wants to be a villager. And the way you introduced it to me earlier this week, was the end of last week? I think it was earlier this week. But anyway, in the last week in community, stay on topic and time frame, you were talking about language and the power of moving from using to and then moving to and I wondered, would you be up for sharing some examples? Because you actually wrote something and shared in the Motiverse community about it. And I can grab some examples, but you described it very well. And it just got me thinking about the subtlety of wording when we say things, and that sort of stuck with me. And I got some thoughts and questions and ideas on it. But yeah, would you mind sharing a little bit that concept of using and?
Yeah, I mean, in the video, I'll start with an example from the video, which I quite liked. Was I'm going to market to buy milk, or I'm going to market to buy bread. And when you use a word to, for example, to buy bread, then it's almost like your whole focus is on buying the bread and nothing else. And nothing else matters. You don't look up, or you stay hooked into your headphones, or you're looking down at your phone constantly. Whereas if you said, I'm going to market and I'm going to buy bread, then all of a sudden, like, how it opens your mind to other opportunities of what you could do. You're not closed down to things that could happen. You know that you can do other things. Like, I'm going to market and I'm going to buy bread means that you can also stop and look at flowers, or stop and talk to a neighbor. And yeah, another example they gave, which I quite like, because I'm not one of the one that aligns with the school system, but they gave an example of, I'm going to school to learn to read. Whereas if it's, I'm going to school and I'm going to learn to read, not only do the opportunities open up to actually do different things during the school day, it also means that you're not measured on the learning to read aspect as much. And if you look at the world around us and the school system and how they measure children for absolutely everything, because everyone now talks about how they're going to school to learn to read, or to learn to count, or very, very, very specific, right? And I thought we could take that into the community world. It's like, we run a conference, or we run chapter events. And it got me thinking. It took a while to like think about how, getting confused with the words. And
yeah, we got muddled, didn't we, with the words? We were like, what would that apply to, like, community? But yeah, sorry, go for it. Yeah.
So it was like, I'm going to Moticon, which is our conference, to watch talks, for example, was what I came up with. And a little secret here, Claude helped me with that to frame it. But yeah, I'm going to Moticon to learn to watch talks. It's kind of what you would say to your boss. It's like, that's why you're going. But if you reframe it and you say, I'm going to Moticon and I'm going to watch talks, then all of a sudden it opens up opportunities for other things that you could do at a conference, such as, hang out with friends, or the hallway track, so to speak, or sightseeing, or there's all kinds of things that that you could get out from conferences. And I just think it's an interesting, hard, it still feels hard. It's like I still have to really think hard about it. But if it helps us kind of like step away a bit from the measurement angle, this thing that we're always measured on something, and if we can tweak our language, And then, maybe we can come back like after a conference and feedback to our team or our bosses is like, I went to Moticon and I did this, and also I did that and this and that. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like interesting, I think, to help us see all the beautiful things that community brings.
Absolutely. I can see Nicola is backstage. So thank you, Nicola. Just an extra thought, if I can share, just before we get Nicola up onto stage. I wonder then how we could apply it as community professionals. So, we are creating this chapter event so people can learn about this topic. Maybe it's like, so what if we change the so to an and? We are creating this chapter event and people will turn up, and it's hard, isn't it? It's like there's something there, but just changing it subtly. Like if we're not so specifically focused on, right, this is exactly what we want our community members to experience when they come to this thing, like we ourselves can apply that. I think, I don't know, that I haven't quite got the wording right in my head, but I think there's something in that, because it's like the experience that we don't always have to defy the outcomes, like the exact things, or we have to measure everything. Like there's something in the unknown of what may happen with the things that we enable as community professionals. I think that's what's interesting. So yeah, maybe need to articulate that in a way, but that just kind of came to me at that point.
And I highly recommend Claude to help think through that, because I was like trying to say, this is what I'm trying to do. And it gave me some examples. At first I was like, no, you're just going off track too much there. Can you please like stick to the to and the and only change that word and give me examples of it. But yeah, I'm gonna quickly press the magic button to add Nicola on stage.
Hooray! Nicola, welcome.
Hi guys. Yeah, it took me a while to do some setting things there. It's always the way. I use Arc browser, which I love, but then whenever I join a platform it doesn't recognize, it's like but so I've reverted to Chrome, but I will forever sing praises of Arc browser. It's great.
Very cool. And Nicola, it's wonderful that you've joined us today. Thanks so much. How has your week in community been? I nearly said it then. I nearly said quality. How has your week in community been?
Yeah, it's well, this week feels like a little calmer than last week, because last week I manage a community for people who are unpaid carers in the UK, and last week was the official carers week. So we're all the official weeks and days that we love to have, but it was the official carers week, which meant that we had to go hard on different events and activities, and there was lots going on. So this week's been, let's look at what we did, let's collect up the data. So yes, it's been a bit calmer.
Well, congratulations on going for it. Yeah, we kind of know what those weeks are like, that real focus, like all attention on everything, kind of following perhaps a plan with a bit more eyes and all of that stuff happening on a particular week. What would you say was like one of maybe something that surprised you that you maybe didn't expect to happen during that week?
Well, an activity, I try to do different things, because I know that some people like to join events, and that's fine. That's a smaller group of people, and obviously carers are super busy and stuff's going on at home, so I always try to do some things that people can join in without having to, they can just join in 5 minutes when they got a spare 5 minutes. And I did an activity where they could write a note to a fellow carer, kind of a message of support for Carers Week, and that went really well. Lovely to read their messages. I used a tool though which didn't quite work out, when there's always something you try and you test it and you think this is gonna work, and it didn't work, but I improvised and it was fine. I used a tool called Padlet where it seemed like they could just open a link and write on a post-it, but nobody could do it. I just said, fine, write your messages in the comments, and then I added them all, and it was fine. But yeah, very heartwarming, lovely board of messages to read now.
I love that initiative. That's awesome. And also, I think you highlight a skill that us community professionals have to have is on the fly, let's come up with a solution that works given what's happening. So I'm impressed that you're like, oh, okay, we can work around this issue and kind of work it out, and it's going to be okay. Yeah. I'm starting to, during the last episode we touched a little bit on skills for community professionals. I think over time I'd like to see with This Week in Community, like we build a skills database, like we end up identifying core skills for us as professionals, and maybe it becomes like a matrix and we work it out, or a quadrant. I always like a quadrant as a model. But yeah, anyway, that's a side thought. So the skill of being able to deal with a situation right there live in real time when your community members are like, what's happening?
Yeah, what's going on? I know. And I think I'm always quite keen to try out new tools and techie things, but I have to remember that's not everybody's cup of tea. Simple is often better, definitely with my members. I think as simple as you can do it is always best.
That's great advice. Rosie, feel free to jump on in.
Yeah, I'm slightly distracted with some support messages at the moment. So. There we go. But yeah, all good. Is there anything that you do with any of the messages, like after like people share them? Because like one of the things that I always feel like we could get better at, and we're actively trying to get better at, is just like making sure like some of these things don't just get lost in either, and like and maybe that's okay sometimes, but like having like some kind of archive or like some way to reuse them or turn them into like, I don't know, social posts or graphics or something like that. Like we do like a Test and Planet newspaper, and throughout the year we tag some good quotes from people, so that when we go to print the newspaper once a year, we have like this list of like good quotes that we can easily grab, rather than like spending hours and hours trying to find good quotes. We have a bunch ready that we could just we end up putting them like at the bottom of the newspaper, and people randomly like see them and say, "Oh, I said that. Oh, did I say that? That sounds clever. Who said that?" But yeah, I think there's, I guess, a lot of little things like that in community that we probably don't use enough of, or maybe things like AI can help us surface up a lot of those things as well.
Yeah, I would agree. We do lots of nice new things, and it's quite easy for them to then get buried, isn't it? And you make a bit of a thing of it for a few days, but then it kind of gets buried again, doesn't it? I think we've done a bit of social content with it. But I like the bit you said about people re-noticing a quote that they wrote a while back. And I think it's that uplift that we can give people, isn't it? Then they see something they did. So now you're making me think, how could I repurpose that for the members and kind of remind them, because they're the ones getting the most benefit from those lovely messages to each other. So perhaps there are ways I could resurface it. I do have some areas within the community. There's a wall of love with some nice video messages, and then I have a series called Our Caring Lives, which is quite highlighted, which is they complete a form which is about their caring situation, advice to other carers, what they wish they might have known at the beginning of their experience, that kind of stuff. So perhaps actually that could just go and live in there, even though it doesn't fit neatly. I don't want to kind of we're on Circle platforms. I don't want to keep creating more spaces, more things in the menu, because it gets very overwhelming, doesn't it? So perhaps there's a way those things actually just become one place of uplift and joyous advice and heartwarming. Anyway, yeah, got me thinking.
I like it. It's like it makes me feel like, maybe in some of the email communications we have with our members, just adding quotes just at the bottom as like a footer. They don't have to be like, "Oh, this community is amazing, you really should join it." More just a quote, something that's of value that someone could read, and it's not totally directed to the the intention of the email, like, hey, we would like to invite you to this thing, or have you heard about this thing, etc., etc. All those gazillion emails we're always sending. But maybe it is just pulling in member quotes to our emails, just slotting them at the bottom, or maybe.
When I was at Indie Hackers, they used to have like a little loading page as people went to it, and it always had a quote from like a podcast episode that Cortland had done. I think it was all from the podcast, but they had basically pulled out in educational type stuff that was interesting, and you would see it there for a few seconds before the actual page loaded. I think they added the quotes once, and they've never updated them since, and it's a bit of a missed opportunity. But like the idea is there, right? It's like I think there's a bunch of these ideas that are quite good, but like at the same time, it's like I think we can get overwhelmed with all the ideas, and then it becomes quite hard to maintain them, right?
Yep.
So many ideas. But, I love the loading page. It's like the waiting room before virtual events is often such a missed space, because people may sit there for a minute or two, and you could do all kinds of lovely uplifting things to kind of already get them in whatever mood they need to be for your event.
That's cool, Nicola, and that's noted for this week in community. Rosie, that's the task. We'll add it to our list. Got to try and do something that's more, perhaps, can maybe it is pulling out quotes from some of the things we're sharing. That's cool, Nicola. I love that.
On that topic, Claude is actually quite good at extracting quotes. And I guess that's something that we've been doing internally, is exploring Claude with transcripts and content and figuring out like how can it be useful to us. And it's quite fun actually, and that's pretty much like a lot of our focus are conversations rather than forum based. And yeah, it's pretty. I'm loving it at the moment. Just like playing with the transcripts, looking for opportunities to extract things. Claude sees things that we don't even consider. We mine it for glossary terms. We're building up our Motiverse glossary, and it's just pretty amazing how much it's speeding us up. And that's kind of opened my eyes to like what community could be, and like how valuable transcripts actually are. We've got thousands of them, so I was like, oh my goodness, we can keep busy for quite a while. And that's like, oh my, it's like,
it is, it's a good overwhelming, right? Kind of,
Well, gives actually, more ideas, more things to
do. Yeah, exactly. It's like, what does it add to our to-do list? But in a kind of a good way to-do list. Well, funnily enough, before this session earlier today, I took that Everyone Wants a Village, Nobody Wants to be a Villager transcript from YouTube. I gave it to Claude and I said, give me some good quotes. So I got a list of really interesting quotes in it, and it helped me kind of pull out some important things. Also kind of, so this one actually, I think, is an interesting term I've never heard before. So I'd be interested to know, Rosie, Nicola, if it's on your radar, or anyone else who's tuning in today in the chat. It's called schismogenesis, if I can pronounce that, or schismogenesis. Is a pattern of relationship that breaks relationship, where someone will say, I don't give because I know you're not going to give, and you don't give because you know I'm not going to give. And pretty soon there is nothing there. And I was like, whoa, that's really, a real challenge, I think, with community members, is how can we create a system or a space in many different ways where people can give, knowing that they can do that without sort of like fear, or they're like, oh, what am I going to get in return? Who else is going to get involved? It really got me thinking about that. But yeah, schismogenesis. Apparently that's the word.
I'm not sure I'll remember that one, but
yeah, I'll put the word in the chat and see if I pronounced it correctly.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, but I get the concept. It's kind of becoming in a headlock with somebody in a way. Would that be a good way of summarizing it?
Yeah, I think so.
So it's like the opposite of reciprocal, I guess. They're not reciprocating. No one's reciprocating. And if that happens, then that's when you get this schismogenesis thingy.
Oh, it's Andy Piper. Thank you, Andy, for joining in. You're late joining, but I'm here. Thank you, Andy. That's awesome. And apparently, schismogenesis. Is that it? I think maybe schismogenesis. And there's Andy Claremont comments, related concept, tragedy of the commons, taking without giving. Right. So individuals acting strictly in their own self-interest deplete a shared resource, ultimately ruining it for the entire community. Yeah, I think we touched on that last week, didn't we, Rosie? That interesting article with that community that someone had come along and taken. Oh, here we go.
This guy is quite good for the commoners type approach. David Bollier, generally speaking, he's written a lot about that. I just happened to have that by hand.
We planned that so well, Rosie. It worked out so well that you had that book ready.
Thanks, Andy. But yeah, I think it's such a big problem. I think we struggle with it, so much even today in our community. And I think it's getting worse. It's I think it's I don't know. It's just getting worse, and maybe it's a sign of the times. Or I don't want to say too much or be too negative, but it's I guess like as community managers, or as a community company, we're trying to get better at setting the boundaries of actually what can we actually give. We're trying to be a bit brave or a bit audacious, as we like to say, and putting boundaries in and say, actually, we can't help you. And that boundary causes a bit of controversy in some people, but for us it feels great because it means that we feel like we can serve our paying members better rather than trying to serve everyone, where previously many of them weren't, and they'd show up infrequently. We'd never be able to build a good relationship or be able to get them to do things that are meaningful. And now we feel like we can do that. But it's scary. It's scary just saying, actually, no, we can't help you. And I laugh, but like I'm so serious about it. One of the things we did is like to apply to speak at our conference, you have to be a paid member just to apply. And people at first were like, I don't get that. And I'm just like, yeah, but you don't have to deal with 400 submissions.
Yeah.
It's like others don't have to deal with that, and the majority of them, like, we know nothing about the people, and we have to go hunting down information about these people, trying to judge whether they're good enough based on very, very little information. And it got to the point where I was like, I just don't feel like I can make a good decision if I don't know you very well. So like we like put that thing in, and it felt a bit scary. And some people still don't get it, and that's fine. Maybe in time they will. But it's scary, and I think part of that is just like us almost trying to enforce that reciprocation. It's like, actually, this is important, and this is what. It's not forcing it, but it's like, well, this is who we want to be. We want to reciprocate, and to be able to do that, actually, the easiest way for us to implement that is you have to be a paid member. So it's all good fun. All the things that happen behind the scenes.
Yeah, you've got to do the hard stuff to get to the right place sometimes, haven't you?
Totally. And it's kind of, I guess it touches on like what are, and I keep banging the drum about this because I just like the term that we got from one of our wonderful community members, like, what are our high value activities, like as community professionals, community people, managers, like where are we spending our time, where are we spending our efforts that's going to make a difference? And it's hard to work that out, right? Particularly if we're a small team, maybe within a large organization, or we're still trying to convince people within an organization that community really matters and it can affect many things in a positive way. And also for small community-led organizations like our one, we've got to be smart with where we work and where we place our efforts, and that's always tricky. I wondered, Nicola, if you're okay sharing, how is it you kind of work out like what your high value activities are? How does that tend to work?
I've tried a few different methods actually over the past. So the role I'm in now, I've been at Mobilise coming up for 2 years. And I did have this scorecard thing that I was doing, which was quite interesting. But I've now actually got, so I'm going into a bit of detail here, but I became part of the product team at the beginning of this year and developed with my manager a North Star of what we want to achieve through the community. So I've now got this North Star scoring system. So I put all my ideas into a kind of product roadmap type Monday board, and then I run them through the scoring system. And then the ones that come out highest, I work with the developers, this small team, there's like 5 of us, as if I'm I'll work in the cycles, in the 4-week cycles. So I'll take 3 or 4 of the ideas that I think are manageable into the cycle and work on them, and I'll join the product update. So it's kind of like I'm a developer, but I'm doing some producty stuff. You know what it's like being a community person. And that's working really, really well. And what's funny is sometimes I will pop in ideas and I will think that they might score quite well, but they don't. And then sometimes the other way around. And then you think, oh, I should have worked on that because that's obviously going to help with growth or engagement or whatever. So that, currently that's working well. And it's a nice system, and it gives me it gives me permission to push back and not be doing too many things at once because of the cycles. So I'm like, well, the next 4 weeks I'm working on these things. I'll think about it for the next cycle. So my current method.
I like it. No, I appreciate you sharing that. That's very cool. I'd be curious to know, and of course, IP and all that stuff, but the kind of the scoring methodology behind it, that's really interesting.
Yeah, I would have to quickly look at my.
Don't worry if it's.
I can't remember it all.
It's more just more of like a rhetorical thought.
Yeah, no, it's
question. Like it's like I'm always curious how we can use data to help us make decisions and rely on it and trust it and all of that stuff. And I love the kind of the 4-week framing. It really sounds like it gives you focus. And it's like, no, we're not quite doing that now. That can wait. This is what we've committed to, because we can get excited by new things coming in or an idea here or something there. It's like, oh, this is good. It's like kind of sticking to it. I respect that a lot.
Yeah, it does. And I'm the type of person that does really need deadlines. So having those deadlines means stuff gets done and I don't get my magpie syndrome and pick up something else or, oh, this feature's come out, let's play with this. Like, it keeps me focused. And the scoring system is, I've got on a Miro, I've got a nice, pretty visual of my kind of North Star framework. And then it's just a Google sheet with, I think there's about 6 columns with those things. And I just put out of 1 to 5. There's still some subjectivity to it because it is just me scoring it. But I have written clearly, like, so for example, one of them is growth, and then it would be, I can't remember what they are off the top of my head, but like growth by times 0.5, growth by, so just so that everything is actually measurable. But it's still me kind of figuring out, do I think this would 10 times grow? I mean, 10 times, not 10 times, but, point whatever times. So it's still a bit of me doing a bit of guesswork, but perhaps the more I do it, perhaps I'll get a bit more spot on about hitting those numbers.
Yeah, that's cool. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, measurement, that's an interesting topic. It's a big topic, isn't it? I don't know if my brain can quite go there, but yes. Oh, Nicola, thank you for joining us. Please do stick around on the stage. We will open it up to more folks. If you do want to come and join the three of us up on stage, you are most welcome. Hit that button that says join the live conversation. You'll join us backstage. Just enable some permissions for your audio and video, and that should work. It's good to see folks in the chat. And Andy just emphasizing, okay, yes. I mean, this is going back to earlier. It kind of feels like a fancy way of describing the movement towards polarization in many spaces, of course, which we absolutely need to resist and encourage more collaboration and compromise and comfort in gray areas. Comfort in gray areas, that's really powerful. Yeah. But Andy, if you are able to join us up on stage, tap that button, get involved. I appreciate it. And yeah, folks don't need to put their camera on if they don't want to. It's all good. And Andy, it seems like you might be in a noisy cafe. Yeah. Feel free if you want to. We can get some nice background noise, some ambience to this call.
I think Andy might be in Brighton later this month. I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. There's an AI type next week. There you go. This is my invite to you to grab coffee. I've not signed up for the conference. I can't remember what it's called, but I was tempted, but I just don't think I can. But we should do coffee. Create with and Evolve. I was meant to register for Evolve. I should maybe look at that. So that's a good reminder to check it out, actually. Ooh, local conferences. But yeah, we've got a chapter event tomorrow, so we're heading up to London tomorrow. Or Simon's in London anyways. Too many Andys. Yes, sorry, Andy Piper. Oh, Andy Piper's on stage, so we can bring him on. But yeah, we're in London tomorrow and Friday. Hello, Andy.
Hello, how are you? Am I unmuted? Yes, I am. I can see my green mic bumping up and down. It's exciting.
Welcome.
Thank you. Yes, I thought it might make sense if I explained what I was rambling on about in the side chat there, because you were talking about schismogenesis. I think, Simon, you figured out. I think that's how it is as well. I guess it's schismogenesis. Yeah. I've just had I've been ranting a lot in the last couple of days because social media and social networks and the European Commission seems like they're about to maybe join this new closed slash semi-open thing called W Social, which is a commercial version of Blue Sky that they kind of that is launching tomorrow, I believe, and they're all today, and they're making a big deal about joining that, which is very frustrating to me. But because I think they could be doing much more if they were in open community common spaces rather than forcing everybody down commercial paths. But there you go. But the grey areas thing was me thinking aloud as you were discussing schismogenesis, and that people taking from the taking in from the commons and reducing it, depleting it, and ending up on these other sides of a space. So that polarization of how politics and society seems to go. Sorry, very big philosophical things to suddenly bring onto the stage. And I've just been thinking about how I've spent a ton of time in the last 20 years doing things where I've either been between a company and a community, where neither side is always entirely trusting of the other, but there's something in the middle which can be good if you can bring the two sides together. And I just have had this feeling of kind of living in that grey space quite often. Like I try to be practical about like, okay, we've got to live, so we need to make money. So how do we manage that? But we also want to do stuff that gives to everyone and contributes to commons and the wider good. So I guess that's kind of where I was coming from when I was thinking aloud in the chat.
No, appreciate you sharing, Andy, and joining us on stage to express that. Yeah, grateful for it. That's very interesting about that new route, a commercial version of Blue Sky. That's very interesting.
So you know that, I don't know how much you all know about Blue Sky, but it's built on this protocol called AT Proto, which is quite an interesting protocol, but you can notionally have your data stored anywhere that you like. So I moved all my Blue Sky data to a European, what's called personal data store, or PDS, called Eurosky, because then it's hosted inside the EU and it's not somewhere else on the other side of the planet, where I may not trust how it may be dealt with in the future. So, and there's another one called North Sky, which is kind of a Canadian bit. And then there's Black Sky, which is community for Black and Indigenous people of color and so on. And yeah, you can make those choices. And I think that's a really powerful part of that platform. But doubly social is an alternative that has emerged since Davos, actually. They kind of did a very hurried announcement at Davos that they were going to do this new, I believe it's only with age verification and identity verification, which from a community's perspective gives me two thoughts. It means that you've got a lot more trust in who your community is, but it doesn't puts a lot of people at risk, and it puts a lot of people in places they may not feel comfortable being themselves, being their true, authentic selves if they have to show up under a real name, for example. So yeah, I've got some thoughts on that topic. I've got a range of thoughts. Sorry to come along and start teaching you all about a load of stuff around protocols and platforms and things.
It's cool, Andy. We can all geek out on that stuff. It's all good. I love it. Wonderful. Hey. Hi. Hello.
Mini Nicola on screen ×2. I mean, like, I've always loved the open protocols and Blue Sky and the efforts. I think I've grown more frustrated with it because I'm not sure it's working so well. And I find myself going there, and every time I go there, it's just hard. And then I find myself hating, obviously, X, but even LinkedIn is just like frustrating. And it's like, I want to support the open protocols, but I'm not sure it's working, which is why I quite like Ben Wordmuller's stuff, even more recently, because it really taps into what we do at MOT. It's like, yeah, the protocols are great, but it's not working, right? And we need more than that. We need more than like these, these what do you call it? Like RSS is a standard, right? We need more than web standards. We need like sustainable businesses that are built on this, that kind of push for community, like real community. And at the moment, I feel like there's very few examples of good community that's actually sustainable and does things well. And we're trying to do that at the Motiverse, but it is a struggle. I won't deny it, but we're trying to find that balance of, yes, we are a commercial company, but we're trying to do good and we're trying to create value. Does it mean that we're perfect and adopt all these standards? No, but we're edging more and more towards that. Does it mean we keep out the AI slop 100%? We've got, but it means that we put a paywall up, and that's a decision that we've made, and it means that it can't include everyone. But that's a decision that we've made to try to add as much value as we can. But yeah, it's tough. It's like, what is that balance? And I guess the most frustrating thing is like there's all these attempts at creating things, but it's all so confusing, right? And there's no real business models behind these things, and people build stuff, but they're not sustainable because they don't make money. And like people think that money's a bad thing, but it's not a bad thing. And like, and whilst all these things aren't working, then on the flip side, you have all the other things that are making so much money, you know, like, you know, Elon Musk, and they're just thriving in their shitification of everything. And it's just like, it's just not working, right? So it's like all these frustrations, is like, and yeah, I guess I wish more people would wake up to it and not expect everything for free, I guess, is my stance on that at the moment. Is that you shouldn't expect everything for free. And perhaps there's also, I think it's almost like the boiled frog example. People are so used to the shit that they can't see what could be better, but they won't put the effort into doing it. But it's because they can't see it, and they're not willing to spend a bit of extra time to say, oh, we could actually build something better. And I think that's our challenge, is like every time we sit on a call with someone to show them what we built, they're like, oh yes, you know, and then like we convert sales so frequently, but they have to sit on the call, because if we send them that information in email or any other form, they just like kind of glance over it, and they don't quite get it. But when we get them face to face on the call, they're like, oh, I get it now, I see it, like sign me up. But it's like, how many of those calls can we actually do? Or, you know, how long do we have to do those calls for so that people actually start to see clearer what we're doing? But then, like, every business that is trying to challenge the status quo almost, to some extent, has to go through that, and that's hard. It takes, it feels so hard. But yeah, that's my rant on the. So I want to support it, and I do, you know, believe in the open standards and all of that. But it's like there's a balance, like Ben Wordmuller kind of talks about as well.
Go
Ben
for
is
it.
a very smart man.
Yeah, let's try and encourage Ben to join a future This Week in Community. That'd
be a really good idea.
Get some more hot takes and get a good debate going on. And this stuff's important, right? And we should keep talking about it. I saw Rosie, you shared in the Rosie Land Slack the announcement of Stack Overflow for agents. That blew my mind a bit, reading up on that. Andy, did you happen to see that as well?
I did not, but I flounced out of Stack Overflow. Was it 3 years ago when they announced they were going to be using AI to do all of the moderation or something along those lines? So there was a thing where it became apparent that they were going to take all our data and sell it, all our contributions to that community. So I'd been on there for 10 or 12 years and had whatever reputation I'd had as somebody who'd helped people with technical questions related to the community I looked after. And I have to say, I did write them a strongly worded email, because I'm British and I like complaining in strongly worded ways.
Well, Andy, was it with green ink? I hope.
I don't think I changed the color of the email, but no, and then of course I just got told, yeah, look, you know, you didn't read the terms of service, etc., which was a good lesson. I mean, I could have realized that up front, but no, I mean, I find myself as somebody who looks for technical information going there less and less frequently. It already had a reputation 5 years ago for being a little hostile to, or some elements of it had a hostility towards the kinds of beginner questions that were being asked. So you saw, actually, going back to that conversation at the beginning there about schismogenesis, right? You had that polarization to some extent of people telling other people who were at that stage, usually new developers or junior in a particular API, that they were idiots because they hadn't read the manual, when in fact they were coming to ask for help. Andy makes the point that Stack Overflow occupies the same virtual neighborhood as Hacker News, and I get that perspective, right? You do get, again, those kind of quite polarized viewpoints that come out in the comments, which are often very much less kind than we as community folks would like to see from one another in our communities. So it makes sense that they've announced this for agents, but I begin to wonder how quickly before entropy sets in, because nobody adds new knowledge, and we're only feeding from ourselves and our own existing pools of knowledge. But no, I miss that. I confess, I'm a Rosie Land follower, and I get the newsletter, but I haven't. I'm not currently actively monitoring the Slack. I haven't opened a Slack app for a year or so, probably. But I'm in far too many Discords to make up for it. So
it's all right. It's been pretty quiet recently, anyway. So I've only just kind of restarted doing stuff there. But yeah, I guess like the Stack Overflow, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, because it's like it's agents, and they talk about, well, a person can manage agents with the content as well, and it just all gets a bit confusing. And it's like API driven as well, so I guess it's like, does it pull in information directly from sources and generate stuff, and then it's the people managing the agents, what do they get out of it?
Well, I wonder, I mean, it's the wrong thing to do to go and ask Jeff Atwood what he thinks of things at this point, because he's moved on a long way from that. But look, the core of Stack Overflow's strength back in the day was that user-to-user reputation system. The more things you got right, and the more you kindly helped other people, the more you were upvoted, the more your reputation grew. He took that same notion to discourse and built discourse on that same set of principles. And I think that human-to-human accreditation reputation system is super powerful. I struggle to see, maybe I'm an old cynic, I struggle to see how that works with agents, whether there is even any transfer of that same notion to agents, and what the value would be. So yeah, maybe I'm being miserable about it, and maybe it could be useful. I know I've seen more recently, the rise of things like human.json for websites to sort of say this was made by, this is who made it, and the people in this person's network are these other humans who they've met and validated that they own those sites. You've seen Hashimoto introducing the reputation system. I can't forget the name of it. Brain is blanking on that. For coders to try to reduce the number of dodgy AI slop type security bug bounty type things. So you end up only letting people send in those kind of bug bounty type reports if they've reached a certain level of reputation. It's coming back to that human-to-human reputation. So I'm really interested to see where that goes with the Stack Overflow are doing that. They've obviously decided that they haven't made enough from their database as an existing resource for AI models. I don't know.
They're quite invested in the idea of knowledge, and I guess this is something that creates knowledge in a modern day sense. But yeah, I guess like, yeah, I don't know. It's just like I just don't know, right? It feels like they've got some guardrails in place, but I don't think they're enough. Well, it doesn't feel like they're enough, and it can still, if it's free as well. To me, like anything that's free is going to get abused these days so much. So
did you see? The 404 Media reported on how, I think they said 13 or 14 words on Reddit can totally game an AI model now. So you can. So there are organizations going and creating or posting things into Reddit threads with just very short. So and so's pizza place in Dallas is the best one, or whatever, just so that they'll get, and within a few minutes that will show up as a response in an AI model. So it wouldn't surprise me if those kinds of things apply to a respected knowledge source like Stack Overflow as well. I worry about it. I'm quite big on the human aspect, as you may have noticed from the things I've said already. I think that human credibility and authenticity is super important, and that's why I still think that building genuine communities is a good thing. We build real connections between humans wherever they are in the world, and there's a lot of value and power in that, I think, as we know from being community people. And I think the more you introduce, you can certainly use some of those agents as tools to perhaps improve things around the edges. But I think the core of all of this is people. Probably preaching to the converted.
Yeah. I mean, we just decided recently that it's like we've got one life and we might as well try to make the decisions that we're proud of or happy with. And that is the human to human aspect. And it's also meant that we're not doing much with our forum, and a lot of the interaction is actually virtual conversations. There's in-person conferences and chapters as well, but just these virtual conversations have been amazing, actually. I think transformative to building that community and getting new voices out. But yeah, it's partly, I think, AI is come and it's kind of forcing us to be more community, and maybe there's some positive in that. Like, we're actually connecting better. We're forcing ourselves to have conversations because we realize actually the only way to keep out the AI slop is to have conversations. Because even if you're a paid member and you post something in text, people still go to AI to edit it or write it, and often it comes out as slop. So you can still get slop even if they're good people, right? Because it's becoming that habit. So yeah, maybe we'll become more human. I don't know. I live in hope.
I hope so. I hope so. Good comments from Andy Claremont in the chat as well. To Andy's point, outside of our little tech bubble, I think there's more disdain for AI, and we'll see a rising appetite for more community experiences as AI gets pushed on so many other facets of life. Yeah, no AI slop in closed, moderated groups built around human connections. Boom, there it is. LOL, absolutely. And actually it ties in with something that Nora Bateson shared on that. Everyone wants a village, nobody wants to be a villager. She said it was about radical hospitality, that she says it's always a gift to hear someone's story or to invite a story. When you've got something to give, it's so like human to share it, because the joy of being in community with someone else, sharing something together, is just inherently life affirming. And I thought, yeah, the way she said that, it's like, yeah, we've got to amplify this, right? The human to human real conversations like we're having right now. It's very meta, but this is part of it, right? Us having conversations in an episode of This Week in Community. Wonderful.
I've never spoken with Andy, I don't think. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But this is why we're doing this. It's like a good excuse to just connect in a different way.
I'm a huge fan of you both, so I'm delighted. I'm excited, and when I saw that, I couldn't come last week because I was traveling, but I've been waiting for the chance to join when I saw that this was happening. So thank you. No, I'm excited about it as well. But it takes effort, right? And this is the thing. I think there is a sense of fatigue and laziness, and that what Simon was just saying. The villager. I forget who you said that was by, but 100%, you know, people don't want to make the effort. When they do make the effort, they generally get a lot from it. You know, it's trying to persuade people through that barrier, that mental barrier that often we have in our heads that, oh, I can't be bothered today, you know. But when we get there and we get through it, and of course, once we're in a community space or any kind of social space, and we're generally using a lot of energy, and we get very often, I mean, I'm an introvert, believe it or not, and I get tired after those kind of interactions because it's a lot of effort, but it's valuable effort. It's added to us, it's added to the other people. We've grown as a result of having different and new experiences. It's exciting, and that's what we should be valuing. Like I think, Rosie, you said about, you know, what we want to work on growing, right? We want to be building these things, and I think, yeah. Sorry, I'm rambling, but it's exciting. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for you putting this show together and starting this and having these conversations.
Sorry.
Can't do that. I don't have the fancy Apple thing. I've just got a Linux laptop at this end.
Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that, Andy.
Yes, Nora. Yes, thank you.
Yes, yeah, but I mean, yeah, appreciate you showing up, Andy, and it's great to have you join us on stage. So yeah, please do come back as often as you want to and get stuck in. And that's, you know, just amplifying what you just shared there. Yeah, let's keep the conversation going, right? It's important to, and I think as a community of community professionals, just we're looking out for each other, and because we're all trying to work it out. And, you know, sometimes it's like moments where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm getting it. And other days it's just like, and everywhere in between. But I think to Rosie, your point about we've got to find joy in what we do. I think those human connections are what bring joy, and thinking about right at the start of this conversation around, like, you know, we can getting that energy to turn up to something like this, for example. It's like, I've not got the energy for it, or what's going to happen, and all of this stuff. And we don't know, but when we do, it's like the and, right? It's the, you know, we turn up, we show up to this, and we might meet some people. It's like we don't know what's going to happen, and that's what we're up for.
Talking is therapy. Andy Piper said in the chat, cheerleading each other and then having group therapy. Sometimes this is what it is in a community sense, is just catching up. And I think we don't get enough of that in our busy lives. So yeah, we forced ourselves to do this every week. It's like 4 p.m. every Wednesday. We'll show up. We'll be unprepared sometimes, but we're going to try our best to be here every week.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, folks. Everyone who's joined along in the chat, joined us up on stage as well. So lovely to see you, Andy, and lovely to see you earlier on, Nicola. Hopefully that situation is okay now that was shared in the chat. All good. But yeah, thanks, folks. Really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll see you soon for another This Week in Community. Bye for now.
Bye.